My name is Mandy Dimarzo. I have been a passionate athlete my whole life. From my earliest memory, I played soccer. My dad coached me from the age of 4 all the way through Division I soccer in college for 4 years. That passion continued on, and I coached middle school and high school girls. It was my first love of sports. I'm highly competitive. I want to win at everything I do. I've always wanted to win at everything I do. So with soccer, I'm only 5'2". And so I started to lift weights and gained weight and muscle mass because that would make me a better player. I never questioned it. I never thought about my body, my butt being big or my thighs being too big. It was functional. And since I am so competitive, I wanted to be the best at my sport. After college, since I always identified as an athlete, I needed to figure out what was going to be my next sport because the soccer playing days were over for the most part. And so I started running and I started going to races, and I started to notice that the women that were winning were a lot leaner and thinner than I was. And that's probably the first time that I started to take notice and put my own body down. I never did that before. I never really took notice at all. And so I started to watch what I ate, cut back, tried to just skim calories here and there. And I lost weight. And in fact, my times got better and I got faster. And that behavior was more encouraged. Every race I started to win. And so then when I started to win as a competitive athlete that I am, I just kind of kept pushing that limit, losing more weight without really knowing, but also kind of justifying it by being an athlete and trying to get to the top of my field. And so I almost used that as an excuse. I did use it as an excuse because family members were noticing that it was pounds and pounds coming off, but I was telling them about the next marathon I was running. I decided to run 5 marathons in 1 year, and that's ridiculous. But I was obsessed, and there was just that obsession along with calorie restriction really was a slippery slope. So I was running about 100 to 110 miles a week. I would run in the morning and at night. I ran 10 miles in the morning, maybe 8 miles at night. Soon my body was obviously not able to sustain this kind of poundage on my body. And I stopped getting my period, and I was exhausted all the time. My skin was dull. My hair was falling out. My hands and feet were freezing. And all of these things were combining. My body was breaking down. My body was telling me something, but I wasn't listening to it at all. I was getting a pain in my femur, and I had a stress fracture. And you have to lay off for 6 weeks. And to be told laying off for 6 weeks was really hard to wrap my head around. So if I can't work out, I didn't eat. I really restricted the food I was taking in because I felt like I didn't earn it. I didn't work hard enough for it. I went back and saw the doctor 6 weeks later, and he did the x-ray, and he said, "Mandy, nothing's changed. Stress fracture is still there." I had early onset of osteoporosis, and that's when I was labeled a female triad athlete. And that means you stop your menstrual cycle, you have weakened your bones, and you are deficient in nutrients. To heal this tiny stress fracture, my doctor actually had me put a shot in my thigh every morning that actually helps elderly when they break a hip. And that's probably the turning point, when every morning I have to put a shot in my body because I'm not actually giving my body what it needed. And I know that I'm not healthy. I know I shouldn't be feeling this way at 25 years old. Something had to change. Something had to give. I went for a walk with my dad, and we both had a real emotional moment. I'll never forget that day. And he said he was worried about me, and I finally said out loud that I was worried about myself too. And he said, "Something's got to change," and I said, "I know." And I had to make that decision, and he knew I had to make it, but he was right there with me, as was my entire family. I wanted to enjoy family dinners. I wanted to enjoy the sports I love and not constantly get injured, constantly get stress fractures. I didn't want to constantly get sick. And all of these things, when I looked back, hindsight's 2020, I saw that there's a common denominator of just choosing to give my body the nourishment it needed. For me, it was something that I had to just decide to do. I didn't need a nutritionist. I knew that what to eat. I knew exactly the kinds of foods and the nourishment, and I had to make that decision on my own. And some days were better than others, and it was not easy, and it did not happen overnight. And at the beginning, I still kind of felt that need to balance out food with exercise. And even that was a process where I gave myself that allowance. It's okay to have a day off, or it's okay to have dessert. I listen to my body. I listen to when it's hungry. I don't stifle those hunger pains. I listen to it and I honor it. And that's been the best choice for me. What works for me may not work for somebody else, but as an athlete, I did see food as fuel as well, and it helping this body do the things and achieve the goals that I want to achieve. It's been a long process, but it's something I'm very proud of coming out on the other side. And I felt so strong, and I love that feeling of strength. That has been the healthiest version of myself. I still have good days and bad days. And there's times when I need to be a little kinder to myself. And I think that when you struggle with an eating issue and a food issue, you don't get to fully immerse yourself in life because you're constantly restricting and punishing. And it's a cycle that can steal some great moments. And so I love where I'm at right now. As a powerful woman, I guess my message to other women, girls, and athletes would be to honor and provide this body that you're asking, to share this journey with you. Give it what it needs. It wants to heal. It wants to feel good. It wants to jump and shout and laugh. And you have an obligation to listen to the aches and the pains and the screams and the shouts. And it's okay to take rest days. It's okay to take days off. They're just as important as those days that you hustle and you sweat. Striking that balance in sport and in food and in diet and in life, that's really helped me.